Mahisha, I really want you to speak to people who have children whose hair textures are different than theirs. And I'm not just talking about white women with black children. This happens also within our own community with people who have different textures of hair because they don't understand what textureism is. And so, as a parent, I think it's important for us to inform ourselves because our children, their self-esteem is connected to this, and we need to be informed with how we move forward and make sure we take care of our children. And this is part of taking care of our children.
Yes, absolutely. Because I know, I have 3 girls and 1 son, and they all have different textures. You know, my oldest has the kinkiest texture. The youngest has, a little finer texture in the middle. I mean, they all have different curly patterns. But I remember growing up, and my grandmother, again, she was totally impacted by colorism, texturism. She totally doted on any of the kids of hers that had biracial babies. She loved them, and anyone who could pass for white, she loved them. It was favoritism, hands down. She really, really liked that look. And so I remember being impacted by that because, I didn't care about being in the sun, but I was, even way darker than I am now because I was in the sun a lot. And she would, tell me to get back in the house and, talk about how my hair needed to be straightened. And so she left a negative impact on me. So for me, I have the 4 kids, 3 girls, and all of them look different. All of them have different textures. And I make sure to have a different impact on them to make sure they feel beautiful with who they are and where they are. And it's just so sad that my grandmother had that so heavy that she really passed that on to me and hurt me emotionally. So, that again, that's the colonism and, the man during, before and after slavery, making us hate ourselves and then treat our children, and grandchildren in such ways that was detrimental to their, emotional well-being. So now I'm very hypersensitive to that. And so as I go out of my way, whenever I see, this is one thing that's super important. When we're out and about and we see a little chocolate girl with a kinkier texture hair, stop her and compliment her. We don't know who has said something different to her. I make that a point to do that whenever I can. You're beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. You look gorgeous. Whatever we can do, because she's being beaten down by everything around her, from TV to social media to movies, and maybe even in her home. So the ones who are more woke to what's going on, we got to help the next generation, because hurt people, and we have to stop it.
Great. I thought, it was interesting to watch How to Get Away with Murder, that when Viola took off her wig, that was revolutionary, that she was just being her authentic self. And I remember the last episode when she was like, you know what? If I win this, if I lose this, I'm going as me. I'm not, because she was debating whether to wear a wig. And I thought that I love the fact that they addressed it and confronted that on the show, because you don't see dark-skinned women being that confrontational on television about the standard of beauty in America with regards to being dark-skinned and having a different texture of hair. And so, I mean, it was a power moment, because I was just like, we have to be collective thinkers about our communities, because we have so many different hues within us. What people don't realize, that Black is a spectrum that goes from the lightest to the darkest, and we all belong to each other. And the reason why we're so varied is because of colonization. And so we have to think about ourselves as a collective body, and we have to stop, dividing ourselves. My grandmother was a pro Afro-Latina woman who claimed her Blackness and dealt with civil rights, and came here from Puerto Rico and was told she was Black. And still, every week she was at that beauty salon getting that texturizer put in her hair and blowing that hair out and getting that doobie on her head, because that still infected her into thinking that her hair being straighter would make her better. And so we have to be real about this stuff. So Sulma, you tackle this from an educational standpoint, and you want to talk about children and educating and informing our children and other people. I adore you, and you're my girl. I am done educating white people on us. I've reached I'm exhausted. I'm not doing any more all lives matters analogies. I have to know, when I think about myself, like I know what a dark and lovely perm is. I mean, what a clear all hair color is. I know what I know all the products. You know why? Because it is in my face all the time. The education of white products and white hair and white beauty, and it's everywhere all the time. So for me, it's like now it's their turn to learn about us, because we have been learning about them for our entire lives. So when you talk about tackling this from an education perspective, how many people do you think that are non-Black are picking up your books?
Not a lot. Not a lot. And I'll tell you what, I wrote it right here on my notes. They're judging the book by its cover. I have gone out to even predominantly white. I've been put in all kinds of environments with my books. And one of the comments that I got was, oh, that's just the book for African kids. So you're not even opening up the book and seeing the content of its character, even though the characters are reflected inside. You don't know that I'm celebrating birthdays. I'm celebrating love. I'm celebrating, passing down a tradition from grandma to grandma, generational wealth. You don't know that I'm making sure, that we can also be doctors, lawyers, attorneys, be in media and marketing and all kinds of, open up the book. And we have found ourselves to always, like, you got to ask yourself, when was the last time you gave a card, for example, with a Black image to one of your vanilla friends or white friends? Never, right? But yet we were okay because we had no choice bringing the books to our home because our children had to learn to read, and we had to make sure that our kids use their imagination in terms of, you see this white princess, you can be a princess too. You see this superhero, you can be a superhero too, right? So we just have to stop judging our books by its cover and understand that when we write these books, we're writing it from a spirit of love for our own children and our community, and in the spirit of the fact that we can be able to see each other as human beings, period. You also spoke about, education and legislation, and all this is very, very important. But I also feel that we have to start with our young people. We have to start with our kids. Like my books, Bad Hair Does Not Exist, and My Hair Comes With Me, Shifting the Paradigm of What Success Looks Like, is a tool that our kids need right now, because you ladies are up there opening the doors of opportunities for us, making sure that these stupid laws, right, are done with. But I'm here making sure our kids understand that they're going to be okay when they're, 10 to 15 years from now. And if we don't support like books like mine and a whole lot of self-published authors, but we don't have a machine behind us, right? We do our own marketing. We do our own grassroots. It gets built from our heart, from our own experience for our community. If we don't deal with the children now and give these educational tools and make it mandatory for it to be in the Department of Education, however we can make it, then whatever work that you are doing, they're still going to have to do.
So what I want to say is to make sure that when you say you want to show up and you want to be part of the solution comes with voting, find out who in your community did not support the Crown Act and vote them out of there. Because that means they don't give a damn about Black women and their hair, right? That's what you need to be. You need to inform yourself locally. I want you to, get those books for the children and the products, because what I'm telling you as a mother of a daughter who we went through the journey because a little Mexican boy told my daughter, how is that your mother and she has good hair and you have bad hair? And we've been traveling through that journey since. So I think that it is important for people to understand that these kinds of conversations, look, I told you I'm gonna do it. And people get mad at me sometimes. They'll say, hey, why are you talking about this? You're not dark skinned. You don't have the texture of hair. Well, I'm gonna use my platform to create an opportunity so that these women can talk about it, because that's what solidarity is.